All right, party people, let's talk ratios. Now, we have already covered ratios in class, but for the next 2 weeks, you will be working on a project involving ratios. So I wanted to break down the topic and show you some real-world examples because you will be working with real-world examples, and hopefully these videos will help. All right, this first video is going to be about what are ratios? What does it mean for a ratio to be equivalent? And then the next video will be not visual examples, but mathematically, what does it look like for ratios to be equivalent? How do we find equivalent ratios? So let's talk. Ratios are comparisons. They are relationships between two values. Now here I have blue scrunchies and purple scrunchies. The relationship between these two colors of scrunchies is that I have 2 blue compared to 3 purple. Okay, this is a ratio. It's a comparison of my blue to my purple scrunchies. Now this is a part-to-part ratio because I'm comparing part of my scrunchies that are blue to part of my scrunchies that are purple. If I wanted to write a part-to-whole ratio, otherwise known as a fraction, I would say I have 2 blue out of 5 total. Okay, so that's what a ratio is. That's all it is. It's a comparison. It's a relationship. Okay, so 2 blue compared to 3 purple. One of the hardest things that y'all struggled with when we talked about ratios was, what does it mean for a ratio to be equivalent? And how can it be equivalent if I'm changing the numbers? Let me tell you this. If I were to do this, boop, 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 I'm going to tell you right now, this is still an equivalent ratio. I have 4 blues and 6 purples. I know what you're thinking, Miss Kime. The numbers are different. The relationship's different. No. Okay? Yes, the numbers are different. But once again, ratios are all about the relationship. So even though I now have 4 blues and 6 purples, I still have 2 blues for every 3 purples. Okay? And that's how you can break down ratios. That's how we can have equivalent ratios that have different numbers, because ratios aren't about the numbers. They're about the relationship between the numbers. Okay? And ratios are multiplicative comparisons. So to make an equivalent ratio, I have to add a whole nother equal group of each. I can't just add one and say, oh, I have an equivalent ratio, because here's the thing. I don't have 2 blue for every 3 purple. I have 2 blues for these 3 purples, but I don't have 2 blues for 3 purples here. So, ratios. Comparisons between 2 values. To make equivalent ones, we have to add multiple groups. Okay? We can go the opposite direction and simplify ratios. Like if I started with 4 blues to every 6 purples, well, there's a simpler way I could represent that relationship. There's 2 blues for every 3 purples. Okay? So it goes back and forth. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to show you another example with drink mix. Okay, so I have some water and some drink mix. Whenever you mix and drink mix, it is all about the ratios. So I'm going to pour a cup of water. Okay. Sorry if you couldn't see that. I was trying to focus on not spilling things, and you'll know how clumsy I am. I'm going to pour in 1 thing of drink mix. Now, this ratio, as you can see, because this is crush drink mix, creates this kind of orange where it looks like crushed soda, okay? Now, let's say I didn't want to just make a cup. I wanted to make more than a cup, because your girl's more thirsty than just a cup of drink mix. Well, okay, well, I'll just add, some more water. Now I have 2 cups, right? No. Because as you can see, we have a lighter color orange. The ratio between the drink mix and the water is not equal anymore. It is not an equivalent ratio because we added some water without adding a group of our drink mix, without adding the same amount of drink mix. And by same, I mean the amount that was linked with our water. So for every cup of water, we needed a pack of drink mix. So now our ratio is not equivalent. This isn't going to taste as good. So what we need to do to keep this ratio equivalent is add another pack of drink mix. And now you can see that we're back to that darker orange, okay? So once again, guys, equivalent ratios is not about adding things. It's about combining groups of things, okay? Because it's not about just how much water I have and how much drink mix I have. It's about the relationship between the two. I couldn't just add more water to this and have more drink. I had to keep the ratio equivalent by adding another packet of drink mix, okay? So that's kind of visually what ratios look like. In the next video, I'll show you mathematically how do we represent these and what does it look like to make equivalent ratios.